Hiya, and welcome back to Heroes Advent. The game that teaches us that we're always ready for the woof woof bark bark. We're always ready for him. Anyways, let's just hop right in. By then, sleep overtook you as easily as you dozed off into the nothingness once more. Yeah. When you opened your eyes, you found yourself in the void once more. Suspended in nothingness, deprived of all senses. You braced yourself for another vision to take hold of you. But nothing happens. You waited a little longer until something finally came into being. But nothing does. Not the nightmarish castle corridors, not the oppressive, suffocating throne room, or any of the landscapes you had visited prior. All you could hear was the familiar hum of the Akai. Without anything happening, you tried to drop down to the ground. As your feet touched the ground like ripples in a lake, a pool of white formed around you as if illuminated by a spotlight. You looked up to find the source only to see a blinding strip of rainbow, glimmering like Christmas lights floating in the air. As you reached out to the lights, they wavered, the further your hand reached for them. Pulling away seems to make them return to their original positions. The end is... those are letters. Hello, who's there? Ow! Your head felt extremely dizzy, as if you've heard something mixed with in with your crystal hum, only that you could not make out any of the words. Be not afraid. Okay, biblically accurate angel. Corruption. Entropy. Decay. Nothing matters in the end. You heard it again, or maybe you didn't. Maybe the void was playing a trick on you. What? I don't understand. You decided to answer nonetheless. You still can't quite make out what you hear, but it sounded like a question. My name? You need my name? Thy fate will unveil for eons cometh. Are we giving it our name? You can't have our name! No, I've seen enough movies not to give my name to some faceless creature. You do well to be cautious, but such caution is unwarranted in my presence. Elisa? Yes, it is the voice of your companions, those you have crossed paths with. This is not helping your case of not being a threat. Yet it is a necessity that we may convene this way. And how am I to believe a word coming from you? I ask not for your trust. Only that I shall listen and give this a chance. Who are you even? You are not like anything I've seen before. Nor that which you have heard of. The voices of the people you knew seemingly merged into an amalgamation of a being, leaving your mind dazed. This is trippy. So what is it that you want with me? For you to understand the self. A being of self-contradiction and harmonious in every aspect. You have yourself within the means to dictate your fate. Whether you amend your ways, or make peace with turmoil. That is to be determined. What? You shan't hear from I again, lest the time is right. At a different crossroad. Fare thee well, Dave. Wait. At that moment, the ring you were standing on seemed to flicker before phasing out of existence entirely. Once again, you were falling, seemingly towards an endless, bottomless pit, until... Your eyes snapped open, quickly realizing it had all been a dream. A dream much more different than the ones that had plagued you before. What did the voice mean when it said purging? You shook your head warily, setting aside the ominous warning as your mind slowly returned to reality. It was already late in the morning, judging by the sunlight beaming over the tent. Ugh, did I oversleep? Hope Max isn't too upset about that. You pulled yourself out of the bedroll, putting on your clothes. Wonder if Alex is finished yet. I don't know if I could handle another hunting trip after yesterday. Doesn't sound like anybody else is up, though. You stepped out of the tent, heading to see if anyone else was awake at the fire pit yet. Though you soon found Max and Cody already there, eyeing you as you stepped out of the tent. Ah, Dave, good morning. Morning. Hey, guys. Did I oversleep? You sat down next to Mac on the log. Not at all. Maybe a little later than I'd like to see. You should be more mindful of how much you sleep, Dave. Too much sleep isn't good for your body, and could jeopardize the timing of field operations, you know. Oh, come on, Max. Don't go lecturing him like that. You only woke up maybe 5 minutes earlier than Dave, after all. Cody! How could you steal my thunder like that? Sorry, couldn't help it. So, guess I'm not in trouble for sleeping in then. Nah, I'm just messing around, Dave. Nothing so serious. We do need to wait for Alex to update us on the Akai readings, after all. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, where's Ray? Oh, he's still on patrol right now. We traded shifts after I went back to sleep, remember? Probably not, since I was already asleep by then. Oh, right. Actually, speaking of which, why don't we do some warm-ups for now? Should be in time for Ray to get back after we're done. Sure, why not? Have a good one, guys. Just don't take too long. Won't be long before breakfast is ready. Understood. Let's go, Dave. You joined his side, doing what warm-up exercises you can as he went through his routine. By the time you finished, it's built up an appetite for the two of you. You decided to lag behind a bit to catch your breath as Max went back to the camp first. Welcome back, Dave. I hope Max wasn't too harsh on you there. Nah, it's fine. That said, though, maybe I could use 1 or 2 fewer sets next time. No, you can't say that. Now I'll have to punish you with even more warm-ups. I know how you feel, Max, but you can handle not pushing yourself every day. The Malamute pouted, crossing his arms, shooting you a playful wink before retorting to the bear. Well, maybe not warm-ups, but it won't skip out on steaks. Of course not. We still got plenty of venison left. Make sure it's extra juicy, and make the slices thick! Sure, I know your preferences, Max. Oh, morning, Alex. Good morning, Al. Morning.
Hey, where's Ray? I thought he was here.
He shouldn't be gone too long. I asked him to get us some fresh water from the river for breakfast.
I must have mistaken then. I heard talk about thick and juicy meat. I'm almost certain that he was here.
No, just talking about breakfast.
Of course.
You sat around for a while before the dragon eventually returned. With everyone settled down, Alex brought up the readings for everyone to see.
So, from our analysis, the Akai maintains a constant mage frequency that projects the ether shield around the forest. These are consistent with the frequencies used in the original blueprints.
He brought up a copy of schematics that you could loosely identify as a guardian crystal. All the notes attached to it makes no sense to you, however.
A stabilized frequency that repels anything that can harmonize with it, by causing a significant amount of dissonance.
That's why I can repel nether beasts that are lousy with corruption. But not the netherite dust that are independently too small to get caught in the net.
That's one way of putting it. It could be that nether has some particular behaviors that don't repel them in microscopic amounts. We can't theorize that now. However, there was something I noticed the longer we logged the readings. While the overall resonance is the same as the GC, the way the fluctuations work isn't the same at all.
Alex pulled up 2 additional charts. One the ones you had taken at the camp, and another side by side.
These are our readings, and these are the logs from the lab monitoring the GC.
They're identical as far as I can tell. Looks like it, but something doesn't feel right about it.
Correct. It's because the fluctuations aren't uniform.
The graph shifted, displaying several more lines, each with a different color. I swear to God! If my gremlin voice is making me yawn, I am going to scream.
Well, obviously. The graph shifted, displaying several more lines, each with a different color. Each one of the nodes returns its own mage signature, with the main white line representing the strongest mage signature. All living things have mage, and our strongest mage is our elemental resonance.
Right, the basics of elemental control.
Yes, and look at all the GC's wavelengths compared to the Akai's.
Damn it! I can't stop yawning! The frequencies seem to dip sometimes, unlike the GCs. Right, wavelengths fluctuating a lot too.
Indeed, the elemental nodes detected unusual dips in resonance, while the median frequency somehow maintained stability.
What does that mean for the JC?
It feels almost asinine to say, but the tree's a living thing.
Yeah, generally plants are a living thing, even if this one has crystals growing out of it.
One would think it'd be obvious, but there was another anomaly I hadn't expected to see.
Another one? Does it explain the first one?
Right you are, Ray. It explains it and has been the final puzzle piece.
Closing the diagrams, he brought up two others. This time a graph with the wildly fluctuating smaller graphs in between and a set of values assigned to acronyms you hadn't learned yet. Fuck!
These are readings taken from the Nether Infected.
Yeah, from your experimentation, eh?
They have their own mage signature like any other element, and have similar effects to the other elements on their body, save for its parasitic nature. And that is the last piece of the puzzle. The readings regarding Crystal has faltered is due to its synthetic nature.
Because it's man-made?
Yes, the reason the Akai has stood strong is due to it being a living being.
Alex brought up the Akai's readings once more, overlain with another graph. To one side was an anatomical biometric.
In small amounts, the body can reject another infection. You'll feel sick for a time, but eventually restore your mage's stability naturally. When infected with enough corruption to destabilize your mage is when the nether takes hold, turning your resonance against you. However, the GC itself stabilizes the netherite volume in your own body down to safety threshold. So the fluctuations in the elemental resonance was the tree fighting off the nether corruption. The patterns in the elemental resonance are consistent with those of nether corruption, and the examination of nether purification we've documented before.
Wait, someone tried to poison the Akai? The serpent! With the serpent that attacked us that day?
Yes, whoever poisoned the GC likely attempted to poison the Akai as well.
And what of the beast? Oh, don't worry about it.
Possibly brought in like the slug and fed off the nether dust in the local wildlife. I can't say for sure, but that's my theory up until now. Though it is because the Akai can purge itself of the corruption that its field would remain stable, no doubt about that.
So the GC was corroded over time, like you said before.
Yes, from what was reported to the lab through Lady Spring, the GC was weakened due to the corrosive essence of nether dust. And with only a uniform pattern to repel external corruption, it had no way to expulse the nether it had collected, leading it to reach the destabilization ratio I just mentioned.
Then if that's the case, what can we do to restore harmony to the city? The Malamute grew anxious, seeming almost ready to shake the answers out of Alex if need be.
Well, that's where a potential solution comes in. It's why I wanted to wait until everyone's here to discuss that, especially you, Max.
Me? What for, Alex? You know if it means saving the city, I'll do anything. Max rose to his feet, standing firm before the lynx, striking what you could almost call a heroic pose. Oh my god! This entire scene is beautiful. We're just doing our own thing, sitting there. Max is posing heroically. Alex is just Alex. Cody doesn't look impressed, and Ray looks pissed.
Because...
Alex looked to you, guiding the others to follow suit.
Dave, we'll need you to.
Ugh! Alex! Ugh! Everyone doubled over in pain, leaving you standing alone as the campfire began to crackle violently. Alex, Max, Ray, Cody, what's going on?
I don't know! I just felt a great disturbance in the force! Was that a sonic boom?
I felt it too. Was it because we messed with the Akai?
I don't think so. That didn't feel like it came from the Akai. It felt like it was coming from the city.
Everyone look. Oh no. You turned to where Cody was pointing. Off in the distance, a billow of smoke rose from the city skyline. With the protective barrier of the GC gone, the crystal itself was in steady decline. The crystal!
It's falling!
Alright, team, grab what you need and prepare to head out. But wait, what's going on with the camp? There's no time. Grab your sword and head towards the bridge.
I can't believe this is happening.
I can't either, but we need to leave post-haste. I'll gather the last of the records we have. You take care of the fire.
Right, Dave, you should grab your equipment from your tent.
I'm on it.
With only a handful of supplies from the camp, you, Max, Alex, and Cody make your way back down the hill to the checkpoint as quickly as you can. Your tents, campsite, Alex's equipment, and even the supply cart left behind in the rush. No one said a word, but you could guess that they each had something on their mind, as your concerns turned to Elisa at the base of the crystal. A sickening, sinking feeling filled your guts as further destruction echoed across the distance. Breaking free from the tree line, you can see the checkpoint at the foot of the hill. The guards were already scrambling around the perimeter, the vibrant red of Ray's scales standing out as he stands by the carriage. Ray, status. Max barked at the dragon as he vaulted in the driver's seat, taking the reins of the hooves.
I've briefed the guards about the situation, asked them to clean up our Akai camp and be on the lookout.
Were they aware of the explosion?
Yep, hard to miss it. They've asked us to head down to the guild for further instructions.
One of the guards passed close enough to the carriage to be singled out. You there! What's happened to the comms?
Well, we have no idea, sir. The communication grid all went silent when we realized the Guardian Crystal was failing.
Damn it all! Everyone, get in! Try to make your way over to Max, only for him to gesture towards the carriage. We can't risk any of you falling off. Get inside. I'll give it everything we've got. Dave, get in. We need to save the city. Right. As soon as the door is secured, you heard the shriek of the wolves as Max whips them into a frenzied gallop. Though the road to the forest was placid, the return trip was stressful. Max's hurried whips and the wolves' cries mixed with the worried glances of everyone inside the cabin. Despite the relative calm of the countryside zooming by, your head was in turmoil. The carriage jostles and tilts as Max hits every curve sharply or cuts straight off the road.
Yikes!
Max, remember the hovers only work while on the road. Slow down and have us all killed.
The Malamute didn't seem to hear or just chose not to as he maintained the momentum. While his originally half-day's trek was cut shorter as the wolves were pushed to their limit. Even at the speed you were going, it took you at least an hour or two to return to the city. Your heart was beating in your head the entire time, holding on to Max as the look of dread dragged their mouths into troubled scowls. When the city finally came into view, you heard a cry from outside, though it zoomed by as quick as the scenery. Max! Sir Maxwell! Sir Maxwell, halt! By order of Guildmaster Alaric. Despite their crazed driving, Max managed to pull the hooves back, slowing down the race into a more frenzied, frenetic trot. What? Explain yourself, soldier!
Sir, Master Alaric seeks your group's presence at the guild. It is an unprecedented state of emergency.
You think we can't see that for ourselves? Max snapped at the soldier, whipping the hooves back into a more sensible run than ever.
Wait, Sir Maxwell!
We don't have time for this. I'll present myself to Master Alaric. Take a report to the outpost.
Yes, sir.
The mounted soldier pulled upon the reins of his hoof, going out of sight in an instant. Its galloping sprint disappeared as you continued further into the city. When you arrived at the eastern gate, you were greeted by the city in disarray. Hang on, I'm going to turn down the music on my end. Signs of vandalism and destruction visibly evident on buildings around the entrance. Down the straight pathway, you can see Vitrum Park in the distance. Max made a sharp turn down the street as you spotted purple blurs speeding past a few blocks further down.
No!
It's like they said the outskirts is already overrun.
This is really happening.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable! Wretched beasts. In my city!
Yeah, I hear you, Max. We should report back to Father at the guild. Probably not the best time to engage right now.
Damn it, Lady Elisa! We turned the carriage back onto the main roads. Your group made haste back to the village, to the guild. Along the way, you listened to the murmurs of the others as the streets lined up with broken glass, stone, and wood. Whatever passed by here did so without regard for what was here. The outskirts were not their target. As soon as the carriage rolled into the guild, the scale of the damage over the course of hours laid bare before you. Max hopped off the driver's seat to open the door for you before dashing into the crowd. The four of you clambered out, following as best you can behind Max, navigating through the cluttered field, where tents, tables, tarps, and blankets were scattered all about. Field infirmaries tending to the wounded. The medics appeared to be civilians, judging by the clothes they wore. Elsewhere, adults tended to crying children, assisted in gathering the displaced, or generally looking for some way to help. The rest were crowded around the entrance of the guild, where Master Alaric stood upon a platform so his voice could project outward. People, please. We are doing what we can to reunite you with your loved ones and evacuate you to safety. Do not leave the perimeter of the guild unless the caravan is ready. Master Alaric, Maker's Breath, Maxwell, I've only just sent for your team. We departed from the Akai as soon as we heard the explosion, sir! Sure, the Guardian Crystal's follows heard that far out. What of the Akai? Did you manage to get results?
We have Master Alaric. I brought all the data required to repair the GC.
Well done, lad, but I'm afraid it has come to naught.
What do you mean?
The saboteurs attacked us from within. The laboratory's been ransacked and set ablaze.
The towers are under fire?
So that's why the guards can't communicate with the guild.
Indeed. We could not communicate to the outpost to warn you, nor contact our field agents in this vital moment.
What are we to do, my inventions?
I apologize for having to ask this of you, but I require you all to help in the evacuation efforts. Max marched forward, saluting diligently toward Alaric. Maxwell Silvervein, is that your command, sir? Maxwell, head out into the city and help with the evacuation efforts. Any injured or trapped, make sure they are brought back to safely. We'll tend to them. Yes, sir! Alexander.
Yes, sir.
I understand this might already be in your intent, but you are to head down to the labs and salvage whatever weapons and technology we may require once we evacuate. Should Crystal Coast fall, the Akai may well be the last bastion of this entire continent we can seek refuge at. Even so, we cannot give up our resistance here.
Yes, Uncle.
Cody. With the high influx of refugees, we need you to help keep them fed. Yes, an army marches on a stomach, sir. Well said. With that, you need to hurry. The remaining assistant is struggling in there on his own.
Randy, one of them's gone missing?
I believe so. Your tavern reported one personnel MIA earlier this morning.
Do you know who it was?
That, I'm afraid, we do not know. Our scouts still haven't spotted him in their reconnaissance. We cannot spare more manpower to investigate missing persons.
I understand. I'll head into the kitchen and help with provisions.
Good man.
Where would they go out of the town like this? I just hope he's okay.
Indeed. And Ray. One moment. Where's Raymond? Looking around, you realize the dragon was not there anymore, apparently having slipped away during Alaric's address.
Right? Where did he go? He was right here.
Max turned his head about, wafting the scent lingering in the air. Eyes widened as he seemed to find what he was looking for. He only left just now. The scent is still strong. Where did he go? What would possess him to leave without dismissal? Max will find Raymond and inform of his orders. What were you going to ask of him? We've been attempting to breach the perimeter of the Crystal Park. So far, we haven't been able to penetrate into the inner sanctums where Lady Spring is. I need Raymond to lead our scouting party to find a weak point in their ranks. I'll let him know, sir. Very well. You all got your orders. Carry him out. Dismissed. Barely taking a moment to pause, Alaric turned away from you to address another group of mercenaries in need of instructions. You heard the man. We have our orders. Let's move out. With a collective nod, Cody and Alex headed toward the main building, leaving you and Max outside in the crowded field. Alaric's voice was still booming from the other side of the platform, barely standing out above them with disquieting despair that filled the air. The pained groans and desperate cries filled any potential silence to process the tumultuous situation you'd collectively been caught in. It suddenly made you feel small as the pebbles underfoot. With all of the citizenry compacted into the small field, you felt like a grain of sand just waiting to pass through the hourglass, passing without notice alongside the many other lives forever altered around you. The very thought weighed heavily on your shoulders, like Atlas holding up the sky from crashing down upon the land. Clenching your fists, you squared your shoulders. You knew all along this was what was expected of you. It was time to own up to it. You shook your head free of the imagery, pulling yourself together just enough to find your voice. Let's go get them, Max. We need to catch up to Ray. Took the first confident steps on the paved road path to where it meets the main road. Fuck, can't speak. You didn't get very far when you noticed Max wasn't following. In fact, he hadn't moved from the spot since Lark had given your orders. Max? He didn't respond nor react. In fact, he didn't seem to be there at all. First, you surmised he might just be upset at Rye's insubordination, mulling over what to do with the dragon while tempering his own anger. But the far-off, glassy look in his eyes told you otherwise. An almost soulless gaze that stared past you. Reached out for his hand, finding it cold and clammy to the touch. Was he going through a crisis too? Max? Max! He shook his hand lightly, a little panic setting in from the unnatural temperature. Was this something Ice-Attuned could go through? What could you do to bring him back to his senses? Shout loudly, shake him, or hit him? Just give him the good old 1-2. Slap his ass. Spank him. Yeah, he's carbonated. And I'm gonna save. Just to be safe. I'm gonna make a save. They're gonna go through all of them. We're gonna try shouting loudly. Max! 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 Dave! What is going on? What is with all the yelling? Master Alaric, something's wrong with Max. Maxwell? I see. Silverbane! Seemed to snap Max out of his trance, directing his attention back up towards the Guildmaster with unwavering diligence. Yes, sir. Was there something else you needed to be done? The older tiger only shook his head in disappointment, guiding Max back to you with his eyes. Your friend here was worried about you. Dave, sir, what? We were supposed to leave, Max. You just seemed to just black out for a sec just now. Maybe I was distracted. Maxwell. Yes, sir. Shut yourself straight. You're their leader for Maker's Shake. Yes, sir. It won't happen again. See to it that it doesn't. We can ill afford our conditions to be compromised. If you don't think you're fit for the task, I shall assign it to someone else more benefiting. No! I humbly request that you allow me to fulfill the task assigned to me, sir. And get on with it. Ooh, that felt wrong. That did not feel good. At all. That did not feel good. Max, are you okay? With an exasperated huff, the Guildmaster returned to his perch, overlooking the operations of the encampment. Max, what happened there? Are you alright? I just had a lot on my mind, Dave. Yeah, I felt it too. You did? There was a hopeful lilt to his tone, though he seemed to catch himself on it, clearing his throat and starting again. Shall we get going then? Of course. Now, you lead, I'll follow. Alright, stay close, Dave. At least he's better. Fucking Toby. As you left the encampment, the agitated rabble faded in the distance the moment you hit the streets of Crystal Coast again. Fucking Toby. First thing to catch your eyes is the amount of vandalism everywhere. The once tidy road now littered with shattered window panes, splintered wood panels, and cracked stone bricks. There was some detritus mixed in. Likely supplies people tried to escape with, getting dropped or torn when they were likely being attacked. Every wall was lined with scuff marks of some kind. They looked like the marking you might have seen in the woods just yesterday, made by wild animals. Are all the nether beasts just creatures infected with corruption? It seems that way. Every nether-infected creature we've faced or received reports on have been animals corrupted by nether exposure. The only people who we've seen nether-infected are survivors from scouting missions. We've never had to fight an actual nether-infected person. But given what beasts can do, I don't want to imagine an actual soldier. Judging by the amount of destruction as well as how seemingly organized the damage was, there was more to it than simply creatures going mad from corruption. You kept close to Max. The eerie silence made you wary that something might jump out of the ruined buildings. Feels like a riot tore through here. Yes, it's far too deliberate to have been inhuman. There wasn't any doubt about that, was there? No, not that. The Malamute thought better of what he was about to say, instead focusing back on following Ray's scent. Ugh, the stench of corruption and blood. It's muddying Ray's scent. Do you still have it? Yes, but it's getting faint. Things keep up like this, we might have to focus our attention on the townsfolk instead. Is there no other way to regain the scent? Not like this. Unless he stopped somewhere long enough for it to stand out. You stopped for a moment, hand over your pocket, feeling the weight of the communicator. How good is your hearing? Max perked up, giving you his undivided attention for a moment. Not as great as my scent tracking, but still decent. Why do you ask? Pulled out your communicator, holding it up for Max to see. What if we called him? Would you be able to hear his communicator ring? Max tilted his head, still unsure of what you were getting at. The communicator's notifier sound isn't that loud. Still worth a shot, isn't it? Decided to open the communication channel, switching it towards Ray's frequency preset. The two of you perk your ears up, attempting to catch any distinguishing sounds amidst the static. Most of the distant noises were still too distracting for you, but the look of bewilderment on Max's face told you that he'd heard something. Did you hear? He held his hand over your muzzle as he continued to listen, pointing towards one side of the road. Think heard something down this way. Keep calling him. Don't let that sound go out. You nodded, keeping the communicator close to your ear as you kept pace with Max. The two of you soon racing down whatever available path you could find. Every time the communicator fell silent, you'd call again, putting you both back on track. You can pick up on his scent gun. He's not far from here. Max took a sharp left turn at the end of the alleyway. You pivot to follow, just in time to see the white ball of fur running toward the red-scaled man in the distance. Rye! Dragon froze in his tracks, turning to face both of you. You were too far to tell, but it almost looked like he was upset you were there. Ray! Finally caught up to Max, looking up at the dragon perched atop a pile of debris, already turning away to keep running. Ray, wait, where are you going? Turned his body in your direction, his head facing elsewhere. Ray, you have to come with us. Master Alaric has given us our orders. Dragon's snout pulled back in an angered snarl. You'd almost swear his mouth was glowing. I am not going back. We can't be running off on our own like this. But I need to. Master Alaric has a task only you can do. That has to wait until we need you to come back with us to find a way into the epicenter of the crystal. Max, your speed, we could. Max! Shut up and listen, will you? You both winced. You hadn't heard Ray raise his voice this harshly since the last argument between him and Max. Tristan is out there, somewhere, without his big brother. You saw how much everything's gone to shit. He might not make it without me. Tristan? He wasn't already at the guild? I didn't see him. I have to see if he's still at home. They don't go with you. We'll be safer in numbers. No! No, you don't have to, Max. Ray, what's gotten into you? What do you mean you don't want our help? The dragon looked over his shoulder, down the blocked-off path beyond the collapsed building. He seemed to try to come up with a reason, though only succeeded at stammering and faltering over and over. Max, on the other hand, waited patiently, crossing his arms expectantly for the dragon to finally give his reason. Even though he'd just effectively gone AWOL a moment ago, Ray's never given you a reason to not trust him before. Ray, listen. We want to help. What's making you act like this? I seemed to have calmed down just enough to ruminate over what he wanted to say. I can't say. Why not? I just can't! If I said it, you wouldn't agree to help me. Right, be reasonable. We want to help you, but you need to tell us what's going on. Max, I can't. Not now. Especially when I know you won't like what I'm going to say. What do you mean by that? We're way in over our heads, man. There's too much for you, for me, any of us. I just can't keep losing things like this. You already lost your brother. I don't want the same for me. Right, don't. Max leapt onto the crumbled debris, trying to reach Ray. But the dragon didn't stand for it. Taking a deep breath, he expelled a gout of flame, setting the rubble ablaze in a large pyre. He caught Max off guard, jumping back to the ground with a deft landing. You both watched helplessly as the dragon disappeared over the hill beyond your reach. Right! You could sense Max beginning to conjure his ice magic, attempting to put out the fire. You took him by the arm, forcing the cold air to dissipate as a Malamute looked down to you in desperation. Dave? You shook your head, pointing down an adjacent alley. Let's leave him be. Maybe he's just as overwhelmed as we are. But we can't just... I know, it sucks that he ran off on his own like that, but I don't think either of us could convince him to go back right now. Maybe he'll come back on his own once he finds his brother. In the meantime, we can do more good helping out the rest of the mercs and people evacuate the camp. Max took another look up the tall pyre, forlorn and defeated. He gave you a taciturn nod. Taciturn. He took you by the hand and guided you deeper into the city, where the agonized cries became stronger. You left behind the burning rubble, pressing onward into the inner city through the market district. The cracked crystal from above cast a looming shadow over you. The closer you got to Vitrum Park, the heavier its weight seemed to press down on you. Looking away from the sky did little to mitigate that feeling. Many of the buildings here were not only damaged, but entirely destroyed. Entire blocks demolished into similar mountains of stone and wood, creating a landscape of urban desolation. The petty vandalism you saw from the outskirts was just a taste of the destruction found here. Max's scowl and furrowed brows only deepened the further along you went. You sighed inwardly. There was that indecipherable look on his face again. He reached up for his hand, causing a pause and a stutter from his step. "What is it, Dave?" His tone was authoritative, awaiting for you to report what you had seen. You weren't sure what stung more, Ray's obstinate rebuke or your offered help, or the ever-growing environment of despair the city had become. You were deliberating on what to say when his ears pricked up again, first picking up on the sound, then soon after the scent of something. "Fresh blood. They're injured ahead!" Your hand instinctively went to your sword, only for Max to stay your hand upon the hilt. "Not yet. Wait until we see the threat. Your weapon will only weigh you down unsheathed." "Right." Max led you down a series of streets until stopping you short of a narrow road. The violent cries of animals, of crumbling stone, and the hushed screams of terror grew stronger as you closed the distance. The two of you stayed close to the wall, Max peering around the corner to assess the situation. "What do you see?" "There are 4 nether beasts striking at a stone barrier. Someone must have erected it as the last line of defense. Dave, do you think you can attune to me?" "Yes, what's the plan?" "As soon as you're ready, I need you to aim to your left and fire off a blast of ice." "And what if it misses?" "Not ideal, but either way, we need to put some distance between those monsters and the people holed up inside." You were not entirely sure what Max was planning, but you complied, focusing on him, attuning to his icy personality. "Alright, I'm ready." "Alright, follow my lead." Max dashed out from behind the building. Following suit, you drew your sword, stumbling partially behind him as you heard his crossbow firing. Sensing a rush of cold wind from your right, you directed your sword to the left as he instructed, unleashing an ice slash in the general direction. First thing you heard were the grunts and cries of the beasts, some scattering into the ruins, the rest standing their ground or knocked over by the ambush. "Charge!" The Malamute pushed forward with a rumbling growl, hands already drawing a bolt onto his crossbow as he loosed another shot in quick succession. Your war cry wasn't as intimidating, yet you still brandished your sword with just as much gusto. The nether beasts quickly cleared out of your path, leaving their fallen cohorts behind for you and Max to deliver the coup de grace into. "Dave, check on the survivors." "Right." "Is everyone alright in there?" You were answered with the clamoring calls from several voices, unable to make out anything any of them were saying. "Hey, easy now, one at a time, we're going to get you out of there. How many of you are there?" "I think there's 7 of us here." "You have to help this young lad, most of us are injured." "We will, ma'am. Any battle capable among you?" "Anyone that could fight is already spent. This was our last-ditch plan." "Yes, the barrier's been badly damaged. It wouldn't hold out for much longer if you hadn't come by." You snapped to Max as he loosed another shot, landing a hit on one of the beasts that snuck up on the narrow corner of the street. It bellowed, rearing up on its hind legs as the arrow struck out from its torso, but otherwise unfazed. The ones that had originally fled in your initial charge were returning, along with others coming out of hiding. The original 8 you'd seen now doubling to 16, with more lurking around the rubbles, easily outnumbering you and the survivors. "They're back?" "Shit, there's too many of them. We can't risk fighting them all without putting the civilians in danger. Listen up! My partner and I will clear a path for everyone. Head to the opposite end of the street on our signal." "Wait! Some of us have injuries on our legs. Can't run that well. How are we supposed to keep up?" Max let loose a low growl, a cold contempt brewing deep in his throat. "I understand. So here's what we'll do. Anyone that's still able-bodied, help carry the injured to safely. I'll escort you directly. Everyone else, my compatriot will protect you from behind. Understood?" The group didn't respond directly, instead began murmuring among themselves. You were concerned at first, though soon enough you heard them shuffling about, seemingly organizing themselves. Max seemed satisfied with the compliance, nodding for you to join his side. "Dave, with me!" You nodded, joining his side with blade in hand. Nether beasts approached you cautiously, appraising you with dead black eyes. Staring through it, you shuddered. It hadn't the inquisitive curiosity of a wild animal. Instead, you sensed judgment, contempt. Something almost human behind those crystal-infested eyes. I'm gonna stop a bit for the ad. Want to break from the ads? The way they approached was just as chilling, arranging themselves in gridlock to prevent your escape. You felt a stone in the pit of your stomach, beginning to feel overwhelmed until the warm, heavy weight of Max's hand landed over your shoulder. You looked at him, the faraway gaze replaced with comforting confidence that you can't help but blush at. Max? Here's the plan, Dave. I'll push ahead and clear a path. You focus on keeping them as far away from the civilians as possible. You don't need to kill, just keep the way clear. Got it? You can count on me, Max. Good. On my mark. Now! Once again, Max sprung from his spot, launching himself forward. The beasts reacted with rabid cries, attempting to bar his path, only to be met with a blast of ice from an explosive icicle, scattering them again. Skating across freshly frosted floor, he signaled to you to bring the civilians over. Go, go, go! Move it, everyone! You convey the signal to the civilians inside the bunker. There's a moment of hesitation before the door to the bunker crumbles back to dust. The first to stumble out of the bunker is a jackal carrying a small child in his arms, doing his best to run after Max. One of the beasts made a break for him, stopped short just as quickly by a crossbow bolt to the chest, courtesy of Max. Next pair was a coyote with the raven draped over his back. His movement was a lot more stilted, an obvious scrape in his leg, though his were in much better shape than the mangled legs of the raven on his back, seemingly unconscious at the moment. This time, two corrupted Borks blocked his path. He decided to rush ahead of the pair, as Max was still preoccupied with the first pair, unable to offer support. Get back! The coyote fumbled, reeling back a few steps after realizing the command was directed towards him. He copied Max's movements and thrust an ice spear towards him, just narrowly missing the civilian as the beast got blown away through force. By the gods, they almost got me! Are you hurt? I'm okay. The coyote shook himself out of the stupor, trudging through the ice he just made, skittling his way across towards Max. What are you waiting for, people? Stop dilly-dallying. I can't keep my eye on every single one of you. Go! We're going! You approached the bunker as the final three emerged with some difficulty. The polar bear woman and an old weasel you had were helping along a heavy-set panda whose body appeared heavily battered and bruised. There were visible purple patches that you hoped were only from bruises. With the distance Max had placed between him and the other four civilians, the beast seemed to have lost interest in them. There was a short-lived respite as they soon circled around the four of you instead. Even you were stunned for a moment before looking to the survivors beside you. The two were frozen at the sight, a series of emotions passing over their faces. Shock, betrayal, dread, hopelessness. Hey! Focus on getting out of here! Leave them to me! As you began to head off, you charged ahead and went all out, hacking and slashing whatever got in your path, alternating between the sword and the ice powers loaned to you by Max. At first, some of the holes and Borxes were subdued, yet soon enough, they seemed less and less intimidated by your attacks. And between the staggering pace of the three civilians and the overwhelming amount of creatures, you soon found yourself outnumbered and outmatched. Damn it! Stay back! Ugh! Eventually, the beast started surrounding you. You almost lost your footing when another slime bashed against your right side. Then one of the creatures barely grazed your left shoulder. Stumbling around, you could feel your body beginning to numb, a dull vibration coming from your chest. Max! Called out from just in time to hear a fresh bolt fired into a creature. Dave, hang in there! I'm trying, could use some help over here! You bit your tongue as a beast kept converging towards you. The crowd was simply too thick at this point. Still, you gripped your sword tightly, mentally prepared for a fight to the death. Just as a menagerie of beasts closed in on your group, a flash of fire descended from above, breaking the circle with a sudden heat wave. You shielded your eyes from the billowing heat, a deep relief settling in your chest at your savior's arrival. Ray? You came back! Covering your eyes, you realized that it wasn't the red dragon that had come to save you, but rather a familiar striped tiger. Notably disappointed striped tiger. Toby? Toby, what are you doing here? Max's tone shifted notably from concern to annoyed. Though with the beasts regrouping again, you didn't get much time to process the sudden turn of events, nor suffer the awkwardness of the situation. Hey, guess now isn't the time for this. Dave, left side! You narrowly evaded a Borx that tried to jump you, while Toby fended the rest off on one side with a volley of fireballs, leaving you to fend off the other side with your ice-imbued blade. With the tiger's help, you managed to escort the last three escapees to catch up with the rest of the group. Max covered you both with a barrage of bolts, once again more concerned with the crowd control over accuracy. Was keeping them just inches away from your tails. Sharp shooting there, Max! Toby cheered on the Malamute in passing, only to get a cold scowl in return, making him shrink back into himself. Just shut up and keep pace, Toby! I'll hold them off here. You get the townspeople to safety. What about you? I said go already! Max fired another bolt at it, quickly approaching something. Its body so disfigured you weren't sure how it was still trotting along. To your surprise, the tiger threw himself around Max's midriff, like a child clinging to their parents' leg, begging for something. No, Max, I'm not letting you sacrifice yourself. You have to come with us. Toby, get off me! Max tried to shake the tiger off, impulsively firing from his crossbow and conjuring ice bolts in between, prying the orange brat from his side. Things were beginning to get awkward again. Should I get involved? We could join Toby in hugging Max, grab Max's weapon, or try to talk him out of it, or leave them be. Let's hug Max. Just kidding. We probably shouldn't. Don't hug, it makes him even more mad. You know, and I'm adjusting the Mac. Right now, giving myself a larger screen to work with on the Mac. We're gonna grab his weapon! You watched as Toby clung to Max, pleading for him to escape with you both, earning him even more irritated remarks from the Malamute. Out of the corner of your eye, you notice something moving just barely out of sight. Max's arm quivered, seemingly tired from the prolonged combat, especially now being held in one hand as the other tried to pry the tiger off him. Without a word, you reached up, holding his shaking arm and immediately feeling its weight fall into you. Max turned around to see you, almost surprised to realize how tired he was to have dropped his stance so easily. Dave, what are you? Max, you're overdoing it. I don't... He's right. He's right, you know. Come on, save your energy and let's get out of here. Max swallowed hard, looking between you, Toby, the survivors, and the waves of monsters rapidly closing in. Alright, a full retreat it is. Yeah, now that's what I'm talking about. Toby slithered off of Max with a satisfied grin, running ahead to guide the survivors out. You almost missed it, but there was a faint yet relieved smile on Max's face, or fell back to his stoic professionalism. Dave, Toby, on field, fire! Field fire! On 3, field fire, ready! The tiger easily slipped into position again, from a goofy, love-struck teenager to a practiced, disciplined fighter. Ready! Turning back to the line of foes converging on your position, you poised your sword, channeling your borrowed elemental power into it. Ready! 3! Nearly fumbled from the misdirection, but you managed to follow through just ahead of Toby. The explosion of fire, ice, and ensuing fog created just enough of a distraction for you to make a break from combat. With Max taking the lead, you and Toby brought up the rear, making sure no one else fell behind as you put as much distance as you could between yourself and the beasts. Your escape was less than ideal, what with your injured pace set by the injured in your party. You only managed to get so far before needing to clear enough of a safe perimeter for the survivors to escape. Max eventually brought up the rear, his crossbow bolts entirely spent, relying solely on his magic any chance it managed to recharge. You cut down the ones that attempted to ambush you upon the intersections or ruins on the street. Toby helped keeping them in line with his ranged fire attacks. The dogged pursuit went on for a while, so long that you didn't even realize the moment they began to thin out and eventually disappeared entirely. Getting a chance to catch your collective breaths, you seem to recognize the general area, the mines barely visible in the distance. Woo! Did we lose them? I think so. They've diverted to the other side of the eastern crossroads. And Toby! Where were you? Were you tailing us this whole time? Well, not the whole time, no. Just when I saw the fire Raymond set to those buildings. He sure caused quite the ruckus. Yeah, well, it was pretty hard to miss. Either way, I thought you could use a backup. Why didn't you just join us in the fray from the start? And why did you wait until the last second? After we talked last time, I didn't just want to show up without your permission. Max opened his mouth to protest, stopping himself short of a reprimand. Ooh. Max seemed to be at a lack of words as he was out of breath, only staring at the tiger, panting heavily from his injuries. I think he might know what it was that Max was wanting to say. You looked to the tiger, who seemed to be facing a similar predicament, unsure how to put his thoughts into words. Toby? Huh? Shouldn't let your feelings get mixed up in your work. As the tiger directed his attention to you, Max's expression was also shocked to hear what you had to say. We're in the danger zone now. We should put aside whatever personal annoyances we have with each other for the good of the people. You indicated the survivors resting in the shade of the buildings, dressing and nursing their wounds as best they could. Oh no, bye. Hope you feel better. We could have avoided so much more of that situation if you had just let us know you were there. God damn it, Toby. Toby's ears lay flat, taking your words to heart, tears almost welling up in his eyes as they did when Max dismissed him earlier that week. But it was... Toby tried to defend himself, but either thought better of it, or even he could hear the insincere whining in his voice as he started. It was your personal feelings that made you follow us, wasn't it? Well, yeah. Master Alaric didn't send you after us, did he? Dad doesn't know I'm here right now. I was supposed to help keep the road clear for the escape efforts. Master Alaric won't be happy about that, but... The Malamute laid his large paw on the tiger's shoulders, eliciting a more hopeful expression from his guildmate. Thank you for doing so. Things might have turned out poorly for everyone had you not been here. Me, yeah! You know you can count on me. Damn it, Toby! Stop being horny. You facepalmed slightly at the feline's instant shift in mood as soon as Max praised him. Though you tried to be discreet, genuinely thankful for his last-second save, as unnecessarily melodramatic as it was. Yeah, thanks a lot, Toby. Yeah, no problem. You know, you weren't half bad out there yourself, for someone without my kind of training. He seemed awkward about the compliment, trying to cover it up with some kind of forced jerkassery. You scoffed, though, decided not to call him out on it, for now. Anyway, we shouldn't loiter too long here. They regroup and come after us, we won't be able to put up as proper a defense. Should we head back to the guild? In our current state, we should find somewhere to bunker down until everyone's strength is returned. Toby, did you spot anything while you were tailing us? I followed you from the rooftops. Think I spotted a group of ours down the north path towards the sea. Can you be more specific? Down that way, towards the old Aegis mansion. He pointed down the opposite road away from the guild. The mansion? What were their conditions? They seemed to be escorting a large group of citizens, even had a wagon with them. Maybe we could ask him to carry the injured on it while joining up with them. Yes, good thing. If they're headed toward the Aegis Manor, we could stop by and see if Sebastian is alright. Let's take it slow. Make sure to keep your senses sharp and your weapons sharper in the event of another ambush. Understood. Oh, this update's long. At Max's instruction, every non-combatant was to hug the outer walls to stay safe in the event of another ambush. If the beasts were coming from the heart of the city, then keeping 5 of you on the outside would greatly lessen the risk of getting ganged up on. In the end, it proved as only a precaution. From where you escaped until the foothills came into view, you hadn't seen neither hide nor hair of more beasts lurking about. Look, there's the Aegis residence! We shouldn't be long for the mining headquarters from here. Wait, is that a carriage? Went into the vehicle station just outside what would be considered the manor's property. It bore similarity to the one you and Max had taken to the Akai, only reinforced with several metal bands, most of which were snapped and shattered along with the splintered wood. Mangled and still attached to his yoke was what remained of a wolf, trapped and massacred by nether beasts, no doubt. Damn it, did they get this far already? Was this the caravan you saw, Toby? The tiger took the time to examine the wreckage cautiously. Yeah, same one. If they were headed in this direction, they must have been ambushed as well. You looked down at the wreckage as well, a bit unsettled to your stomach, but distracted by something you couldn't quite place. Raise your gaze to look at the manor itself. Its garden still immaculate, and the building itself devoid of any of the markings or destruction you had seen before. Why was it still in such pristine condition? Shit! Max, Dave! Look alive, we've got hostiles at 9 o'clock. Crap, I don't like the sound of that. Sure enough, as you had suspected from within the closest building, and even behind the carriage, more nether beasts emerged, alerted to your presence. Good grief, they just don't know when to give up! Pulling to the front, you fell into formation at Max's instruction, planning to create a concentrated blow to the center of their forces and make a break for the Aegis mines. Young masters, I would ask that you stand down. A voice was projected from the direction of the manor, echoing like an intercom, only far less tinny. Sebastian? Allow me to put these ruffians in their place. I simply cannot allow them to bring harm to Master Alex's home. Please stand clear of the line of fire, thank you. You held your ground after the announcement, essentially sitting ducks as the creatures stalked towards you, a heavy dose of hesitation in their steps, anticipating something. At that moment, that anticipation paid off. A rumbling beneath the ground rose in intensity as several constructs erupted from the soil. On the surface, they looked to be ostentatious sculptures matching the sophisticated manner behind them, their heads decorated with crystal-studded tiaras. Within the statues, loud clicks and whirrings could be heard, revealing they were more functional than decorative. At the mere sound of the mechanical unwinding, several of the beasts turned tail and returned to their hiding spots. Only a few turned their attention towards the statues, sprinting into a dash to destroy them. Each piece of the statue parted, moving into place, reconstructing itself into the familiar shape of a crossbow, albeit with peculiar modifications. Where the crank and drawstring would be were a coiled steel and copper cylinder. The whirring grew louder as the coil generated power. The sounds growing violent until it began to crackle. God damn. Whoa. In the blink of an eye, one of the statue-turned turret launched a barrel of nail-thin projectiles into the netherhole, dismembering it into fleshy tatters. As a beast released a guttural cry garbled by its dissolving form, boiling and reduced to sludge where the projectiles had pierced through. God damn! Sebastian ain't fucking around. A note to self, don't piss off Sebastian. The rest of the statues followed suit, unleashing a volley of magic missiles across the field, each one reducing every beast inside it to sludge and crystal fragments with frightening accuracy. Any bolt that had failed to find a target unleashed a localized burst of energy where they landed, knocking several of the beasts through the air back to whence they came. What remained of the nether menageries were vaporized before they could land a single scratch on the statues. The beasts that were still lucky enough to have only been blown away turned tail and scampered in the opposite direction to lie in wait for the next chance to strike again. Yeah, that explains why it's in pristine condition. That is pure fuck around, find out energy. After their successful defense, the turrets audibly powered down with a hissing sizzle, reforming themselves back into their disguises and sinking below the garden's surface again. My apologies for the rude reception. Please come in, post haste. Alright, looks like the way's been cleared for us. Well, those turrets were something else, made mincemeat out of them! Shouldn't surprise me, one does not simply walk into the Aegis estate uninvited. Now with that kind of defense, Toby let out an impressed whistle, surveying the almost immaculate battlefield, which was more of a curb stomp than a battle anyway. So, those were the ballistae, huh? Haven't seen those things in action since we last hung out at Alex's. A lot more dangerous than I remember them too. Considering that was a long time ago, I'm surprised Sebastian still operates a defense system all these years later. He's on his own here all the time, does anything he needs to keep the place safe. You're right. That explains why the manor seems to be spared all this destruction. And it's likely the people from the caravan made it to the manor. More than likely. We should still check up on them, though. Maybe some of the mercenaries made it here. I need to get information on what's going on. This is probably what Master Alaric was referring to about needing Rye's help to get through their defenses. Toby, take point. Coming through! With safety just within reach, you move in swiftly, nearly crashing through the manor's threshold, the door closing with a firm thud, locking itself behind you. Oh, hi, Sebastian. Sir Maxwell, would it be that our reunion were under more pleasant circumstances, but alas. Is everything alright here, Sebastian? Maxwell looked around the first floor. What you imagine would have been a usually immaculate mansion was tracked with mud and disheveled, as every seat was filled with the injured and destitute. I wouldn't have imagined you'd allow outsiders into the Aegis estate like this. When needs must, Sir Maxwell. When needs must. I've been informed that the city has been laid under siege. At the behest of the Councilman Alaric, the Aegis estate has temporarily become Fort Aegis. Toby snickered at the temporary name change. You and Max gave him a confused stare. The tiger straightens out at your paired gazes. You've received those orders. I assume you've seen some of the Gallanteers, then? Yes. They have currently set up a war room in the dining hall if you'd like to speak to them. Or I'll see how things are looking there. Sir, would it not be prudent to treat your injuries first? Don't worry, Sebastian. I know my limits. If I start to feel unwell, I'll ask for assistance. Know your limits, huh? You two make sure the latest group gets medical attention, and the same goes for you both. I'll wait here once I'm done. Got it. The guest bedrooms have been established as an improvised infirmary. Since Maxwell insisted that you both receive medical attention, I could lead you there if you were so kind to follow. Well, I'm doing quite alright. You can go up there if you need to, Dave. I'll get you when Max comes back. Oh, hi, Ad! Thank you, Damien. Really, thank you, Damien. Bye, bot. You considered following Sebastian, given the overwhelming soreness in your body, though you ultimately decided against it. I think I'll be fine. Suit yourself. Still, need help leading the folks there, Seb? That won't be needed. It'd put me at ease to have you both stationed here in the meantime. Yeah, we'll stay here for now. You can go on ahead. Very well, as you wish. You sure you're fine, Toby?
Worried for me. Nah, yeah, I mean it. It's you guys who took the brunt of the attack. I'm good. Just need to take a quick cat nap and I'll be good to go.
He contemplated that statement by throwing himself freely onto one of the cushy couches near the doorway. Right. You snagged a wooden chair from a nearby desk, settling close to Toby, looking over the living room area of the house. Hey, I already said it, but thanks for saving our hide back there.
Yeah, no problem. You're pretty cool out there too, you know. Didn't think you had it in ya.
Not bad for someone without training, huh?
Pff, I bet I could still take you one-on-one. Oh, hey Max, what's the stitch?
Everyone is holding down the fort until some of ours get back. So what's the plan? A few mercenaries have headed toward the mines to requisite a few of their armored carriages to transport everyone back to safety. That's great, so what does that mean for us? It means we sit tight and help out however we can until they arrive.
Yeah, that sounds like my kind of plan.
Toby stretched his arms and back out, fully slumping into the cushions. Toby, come on, get up, we need to... I believe Slacker here has a point, Maxwell. You've done your part, now allow others to do theirs.
Excuse me?
Familiar coyote from your group approached Sebastian from the hallway.
A few of ours are asking for you at the infirmary.
I'll be on my way then.
I thank you. Come on, Max, pull up a chair, kick up your feet, and relax.
Tiger patted the seat next to him, inviting the canine to join him. Max moved towards Toby, much to the tiger's delight, until he leaned against one of the decorative pillars near the door.
Come on, Max!
Toby resumed his petulant behavior, pulling on Max's arm to join him on the couch. Not with the stress of the battlefield, the Malamute only seemed annoyed, but not reluctant to the tiger's pleading. He's obviously still stressed. Maybe you should do something to liven him up. Tell a joke, ask something, or slap his ass. I don't want to slap his ass. Just bet it jiggles. Man, why isn't blowing him an option? I'm just kidding. Don't mind him, Max. You don't have to accept his chair, itty. What?
Yeah, he's really got this whole situation overblown.
Please stop.
What's the matter, Toby? That's what it looks like so far.
Toby pulled his hands off Max, and you better to cover his ears from your terrible puns.
Please stop it before he starts.
Don't worry, Toby. I wouldn't stoop that low. Otherwise, that'd be a stool.
Oh no, it's me. Ugh, you're both worse than Dad and his dad jokes.
Kept firing off your best chair-related puns back and forth with Max, soon devolving into other puns. Whole time Toby being your judge has pained groans your scoring system. Though you knew it wouldn't go on for long until before Max straightened you out. You could tell from his expression that this was exactly what he needed. And I wanted to slap his ass. Just kidding. Consent. Before long, the carriages arrived. They looked much sturdier with all the bulky armor plates, though clearly designed for transporting cargo than people. As the Gallanteers helped them into the back of the armored vehicles, you couldn't help but make the comparison to convicts being loaded into the backs of police vans. There was only so much room that when the last carriage was filled to the brim with this, like a sardine can, there was still enough people to fill the main floor of the manor. Sebastian reassured them that they could take shelter at the manor for the time being, before the next round of carts come through. Stort. My what? Despite your protests, Max insisted you went inside the cargo hold, while he and the tiger directed the carriages back to the guild. He insisted it was for your safety, and given everything that happened, that was a safer bet. But Toby's cheeky grin and taunting tongue sticking out didn't help dispel the notion that you were given special treatment. Even though in the grand scheme of things it had been one mission, one battle, and ultimately one day, you were glad that it was over. If only there weren't more waiting for you out there. turned up to see Max, also taken back to that distant fog of an uncertain future. Though in his eyes you can see it, that little bit of clarity, while still lost in the chaos now with a renewed purpose. When the whirring of the motors quelled, you felt the hull of the cart settle on the ground with a soft thud. The doors opened and you were let out of the stuffy metal crate. You'd managed to return to the guild in one piece. Toby and Max were there to greet you when you managed to pull free of the small crowd. Had a fun ride. His smirk was obnoxious, but you saved your cutting remark for later. We should report to Master Alaric on Ride's escape and on the current conditions of the inner city. Max, we're going to see Guildmaster Alaric. Could you explain the situation for me? We're not actually going to meet up with Master Alaric. Oh, come on. Toby, alright, yeah, I'll let my father know what happened. I'll report everything to him. Thanks, Toby. You have improved after all. Yeah, you bet I have. I'm a lot more mature now. About that, you better not ruin it. Right, right. Let's regroup with the others, Dave. Right. You get to it too, Toby, and no more reckless heroism. That's my line. You better stay safe. Walking back up the pathway towards Alaric's stage, you notice someone already there. That familiar red dragon talking to Alaric up on the stage. Sure, the merchant ships are standing their ground. Seems to be the case, yeah, there's been no sea-based attacks. Some of ours have taken refuge aboard the ships and are circling the coast until things calm down. Aside from that, everyone in the harbor has sworn to help Crystal Coast and her people. Excellent work, Raymond. However, I cannot overlook your insubordination. I'm sorry, sir, I had personal matters that needed my immediate attention. Even show, running off on your own was a foolhardy act. It won't happen again, sir. See to it that it won't. Maxwell, how are things on your end? Max cast a quick glance at the dragon, who only looked away shamefaced, fully expecting Max to rat him out. We've just returned from the Aegis estate, sir. Civilians have taken up refuge there. Is everyone all right? Sebastian is with him, and he is operating the residence's defense system. The guildmaster seemed rather distraught at the information, but quickly regains his composure. That is good. I see you've brought some of them with you. Yes, sir. Very well. I'll leave you to address the absence of your teammate. Thank you, sir. I'll make sure to ask him everything that I need to know. See to it that you do. Once again, with little more than a nod, the tiger was once more barking orders to his subordinates, now with a fervor that he lacked before. Thanks, Max. So what was it that you needed to ask me? There's just one thing I need to know. Did you find him? Yes. He was... Yes. That's enough for me. I'm glad it was worth it in the end. Just promise me you'll do the same for me when. Max was interrupted by Ray doing a chopping motion across his neck, urging him to cut the subject short and motioning towards the guild building. Fine, let's go. You followed them both into the guild proper, still unsure what that last bit of the exchange was about. Things instead were still just as hectic as when you first left the inner city, though people still took whatever moment they could spare to get some food, check on each other, or just rest in whichever corner one could squeeze into. The other two were still nowhere to be seen, and Ray quickly rushed into the crowd, probably finding his brother. Max, on the other hand, decided to send you back to your dorm room to wash up. Thinking back to the whole event, you still found it crazy that you somehow made it out alive. Even more unsettling was how that alone wouldn't be the last trial you'd face. With this thought, you decided to cast the thought aside before finishing your cleanup routine before returning to the lobby. Hey. Dave. Hey. Welcome back.
Looks like everyone's here.
So, what's happened on everyone else's end? Max quickly briefed you on everyone's situation as they relayed to him while you were gone. Alex, along with a fellow researcher, had managed to salvage whatever they could from the flooded labs, as well as rescuing Festin from it. Yay, Festin, he gets his cheddar for dinner. Ray, as mentioned before, managed to find his brother who is protecting the other townsfolk from the Nether Beast ambushes. Cody had rejoined the kitchen with his new assistant, Tensai, and they managed to provide ample food supplies for everyone in the guild and then some, while his other assistant, Ashford, had still been missing. Ready. Okay, let's do this again.
Yes, sir! Max staying behind to set up the perimeter, you steeled your resolve and ventured onward on your own. I fucking love Ashford's outfit. Ashford, you're eating shit. Oh, geez, how many Ashfords are there? Ugh. How can you be this strong already? This was not how this was supposed to happen. Give it up, Ash. The others will be here any minute. Fool, I will not be caught like some rodent. No, I will do what I have set out to do. Hey, get back here. I'm not done with you. Ah! You chase behind him through the fog as it begins to clear, his focus disrupted. His figure was barely visible, even in the all-black attire. The thickness of the fog managed to obscure his outline. Much to your fear, he disappeared for a moment, before you managed to catch sight of him again. Your footsteps echoed through the sanctum as the fog cleared enough for you to see the building. Somewhere within the fog, you could hear Elisa's voice humming in the same tune as the guardian crystal did before. You pushed it out of your mind as you returned your focus to catching up with Ashford. At last, there he was, cornered with his back to the window, shining light through the fog. The snow leopard turned around calmly to face you. Though he attempted to maintain his composure, his chest was obviously heaving from the pursuit. As stubborn as a borax, aren't you? You heroes never know when to give up. I'd watch what I'm saying in your position. Turn yourself over to the Gallanteers or get cut down where you stand. Ah, you're just bluffing. You couldn't kill me when you had the chance. I seldom believe you'd do it now. You held your sword poised towards the snow leopard, the narrow room leaving little space to escape without getting stuck in the attempt. Riddle me this. What can you accomplish by not killing me now? Fame, glory, accolades, titles. Isn't that what all you heroes desire? Honestly, none of that crossed my mind. I don't want to kill you if I could help it, Ash. He had been truthful about his position as the king's advisor. He was more worth to you alive than dead. You're more used to us alive. Well, now look who's stealing my lines. I have an actual use for you. Your lot will not get a single shred of information out of me. I'd be better off dead. Felt a frigid gust blow by your cheek as a fresh wound was opened by Ashford's ice daggers. Ugh, fine! You leave me no choice. You broke into a sprint towards Ashford, arms held back to slash the traitor across the center of his mass. The snow leopard only braced himself, taunting you with deranged glee. It's the end of the line, Ashford! The sword never tasted flesh as you slammed your shoulder into Ashford. Having fainted with the false strike, you drop your blade to put the full force of your body on him. You trout-brained fool, how could you do this to me? Goodness, Dave! Your bodies made contact as you both fell hard onto the floor. A clattering is heard along with a soft flopping onto the concrete. Elisa's voice shook you immediately as you drew yourself off her in embarrassment. Elisa? What are you doing here? That should be my question to you, dear. What in Arborea are you doing in the sanctum? In the city at all, for that matter. No, none of that matters right now. Are you alright? I didn't hurt you, did I? And Ashford, did he try to hurt you? Easy there, Dave. Shh. It's alright. She sat up, reaching out to pull you into an embrace. That moment, you heard footsteps running out of the room. I'm fine, Dave. I'm just glad to see you safe. And this Ashford, is that the Chef Cody's assistant? Why would he be here? Wait, you didn't hear everything that happened just now? I'm afraid not. Keeping the crystal aloft is a taxing ordeal on its own. The crystal! As the rabbit sage gasped, a large metallic twang rang out above the sanctum as the guardian crystal's chaotic vibrations began to go haywire. The ground began to rumble as the crystal approaches the ground fully unbidden. Dave, stay close! Elisa held you tight to her chest as she vocalized an incantation. You didn't get to take in her silvery voice as chunks of the crystal clashed against the sanctum's roof. You screamed out of instinct as you felt the weight of the world crumbling down on you.
was violent. Well, stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.